Incoming breath, outgoing breath. Feeling the touch of the breath somewhere inside the nostrils, or on the rings of the nostrils, or in the area just below the nostrils above the upper lip. Somewhere the air touches you as it goes in, as it comes out. Clouds are like thoughts in the sky. They're just the clouds in the sky just drifting by, but really paying attention. Instead, your attention is on the breath. And then bringing your attention to the palms of the hands. And becoming aware of the temperature of the palms of the hands. The temperature of the backs of the hands. Noticing both the palms and the backs of the hands at the same time. Noticing the fingers and the spaces between. And drawing your attention through the fingers and hands and into the wrists. So that you become aware of the space and the shape and the feel of the wrist joints. So as you breathe in, you can feel the breath traveling down through the arms into the wrists. And you can feel those wrist joints expanding and opening out as you breathe in. And then bringing your attention to the soles of the feet. Just noticing the temperature of the soles of the feet. The temperature of the tops of the feet. Feeling the toes, the spaces between. And drawing your attention through the toes and feet and into the ankles. Again, aware of that space and the shape and the feel of the ankle joints, so that as you breathe in, you can feel the breath travel down through the body with your awareness all the way through the hips and legs to the ankles, and you can feel those ankle joints expanding, opening out. And then bringing your attention to the space inside your mouth. Just noticing the shape of that space, the warmth, the wetness. The teeth and the gums. The tongue and the root of the tongue. And the hollowness of the throat. Just becoming aware of that hollowness and the soft spot in the back of the throat. Just allowing that soft spot to soften a little. And just noticing where in the neck it's softening into. Be aware of the space behind the eyes, between the ears. And drawing our attention down to the base of the skull, just becoming aware of that joint there as the base of the skull where the head and the neck meet, and allowing the breath to come in and expand. So if you could just gently push the head off the neck a little with the breath. Having some awareness down through the neck bones, down through the upper back, between the shoulder blades, the middle and the lower back, all the way through to the coccyx. So that you're aware of the full length of the spine. And as you breathe in, you can feel the breath travelling up and down the spine like a wave. Next breath in, perhaps you can feel the rib cage expanding and opening out with the breath. And then taking that breath up into shoulders and feeling the shoulder joints opening out. Feeling the breath now come down into the diaphragm, filling the pelvis with your breath. And then letting that breath travel down into the hip joint. Filling the hip joints with your breath. So that with one breath we can fill the lungs, the pelvis, the hips, the shoulders. And as we draw our attention back into the limbs, feeling the spaces of the wrists and the ankles, the knees and the elbows. Filling all the major joints of the limbs up with your breath as you breathe in. Simultaneously. And you can feel the breath travelling up and down the spine like a wave, and that joint at the top of the spine where the head and the neck meet also expanding. Being aware of all the spaces within. And also becoming aware of the space around us, so just noticing the floor beneath you, parts of you that are touching the ground. Becoming aware of the space above you that you're breathing into, in front of your chest and face and arms and legs. Feeling for the space on your left. Noticing the space on your right. And the space below your feet and above your head. So you're aware of all the space around you, all the spaces within, all the movements caused by your breathing. And the electrical currents, the sensations that run through you. Just noticing everything that's going on in your body right now. And then allowing the breath to expand a little as we make our very first movements with our breathing. Beginning to move fingertips and toes as we prepare to move a little bit more. And then when you feel ready, bending up the knees, to begin with our first little rock. So if you're not lying down already, you might want to lie down now. And we've got the palms of the hands facing down, the soles of the feet on the floor, and we're just gently beginning to push through the feet in a nice rhythmical way. So you might not start rhythmically, you might need to find the rhythm. And it might help to think of a song in the background that you're moving to. Once you've got that rhythm going, try to keep your awareness on it as you move. And every time the mind wanders off, bring it back to that rhythm. Feeling how different parts of the body perhaps are starting to loosen up a little bit. Move with the rhythm too. And listening into the body. Well, when might be a good time for you to stop? Remember, everybody's different. We are coming up towards the 2-minute mark now. So when you're ready to stop, nice gentle stillness, nice deep breath. Lengthening out the legs. And just enjoying and observing the response in the body. And once you feel that that response is past, begin to do a little bit of tick-tock next. So we've got the feet about hip distance apart, no wider, and we're just letting the toes come in for tick and tock, release. Tick, tock, let go. Tick, tock, release. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Again, just finding a rhythm that you like. Might help again to find that tune. And just listening into the body at all times to make sure that you're still happy to keep going. So I think we're coming up towards the end of those 2 minutes, so just feeling in. You want to stop now or in 15 seconds or so. And again, nice deep breath. When you bring it to stillness again, just observing the response in the body. Giving it time to really permeate through the whole body. We're going to slightly change our position, so we're going to move the hands around, palms facing out, feet on the floor. So this is the same one as last week, because we're still going to be working on the core this week a little bit, and we're going to look at it with relation to breath today. So what you will notice as you breathe in here, and then when you breathe out, pull the legs in and the hands crossed and the chin in, is that your core is well activated. Breathing in, we go back to the floor, and breathing out. Feel that core nicely activated. Keep working. In breath. As you go down, out breath. As you come in. Now, as we know with this one, it's very much limited by what your neck and shoulders will put up with. And of course, the more the neck and shoulders are supported by the core, the easier it will feel. So do just feel into that. You might need to stop already, and that's fine. When you finish, when you've come to a standstill, and you just take a couple of breaths. So that as you breathe out, especially, you've got that real sense of, yes, that core is working. And you might even have that sort of somatic sense. You're not actually moving, but a feeling of bringing that tail in, tucking that chin, and making that C shape with every out breath. And so we start to have that activation of the core with each and every out breath. And ideally, this is what happens naturally. Although, of course, as you know, it can be lost. So take a couple of breaths. And when you feel ready to come out, we're going to roll onto our sides first. Just have that moment or two. Give yourself time to sit up. Okay, so before we come into the stretching, it's just a little bit more of a subtle activation of, we obviously started big with that one, with that really big movement, and then we finish up breathing. But just to remind you that there's this other movement here, which is the S to C. So we'll just do that. Now, you don't have to be kneeling, you can be sitting on a chair for this one. So as you breathe in, you're pulling your hands towards you. So whatever they're on, if they're on your lap or they're on the floor. And then as you breathe out, you tuck that tail in, tuck the chin in. A little push through the hands and push into the floor with your knees, just slight. Remember, it's not big movement, it's just a feeling more than anything. Breathing in, up and back, breathing out, forwards. And again, we're starting with this big movement. Do a few of these. And then we'll bring it into the more subtle realm, so that we can be hardly moving at all. Breathing in, we've got that sense of lift still, even though we're not moving. And then as you breathe out, that pulling in. Just slight. And of course, as the muscles have got stronger over the past few weeks, it's becoming much more obvious. And then we're just going to add this extra little pull up. So it's like you're trying to pick something up off the floor. So we're just adding that. You might want to push with the knees, that's helpful. Just pick up something off the floor. Good. And then we're going to pick ourselves up off the floor. So let's bring the hands out in front. So whether you're in the chair or whether you're on the floor, we're going to pick up off the floor, push into the ground and lift up. Good, and let's just come back down and do that one more time. Now if your knees don't like it, you don't need to go all the way down, remember. As long as you feel the push and the lift up. Lovely, and then we can bring one leg up. And again, even as you come up here, it's like, oh, I've got to pick myself up. So extending this strength that we're creating here down into the legs. So making sure that the legs are also taking part. So let's start with tiptoes and heels as always. And get these feet activated so that they're connected. We're just rocking tiptoes and heels. Tiptoes and heels. Tiptoes and heels. Again, we're getting into a nice rhythm. Waiting for the calves and the shins and the ankles and the feet all to warm up. Remember, it doesn't have to be a really big movement. Just like being in a rocking chair. It's soft, smooth and rocking. And of course, some of us have been doing this for a while, so our calves and shins have got quite strong and we can do it for longer. And think back to the first time we did this, it didn't last very long, so already seeing good results. And then we can land the feet and just feel that sinking, relaxing feeling as if the ground had turned into soft sand and we were sinking slightly. But at the same time, remember, as you breathe out, we feel this slight tucking in here. It happens every out breath. Obviously, we're exaggerating it because we're trying to activate it and be aware of it. And now that we've got the feet sinking into the ground, let's just give a tiny little lift through the feet so that we can feel that area activated again that we just used to get up. Don't forget to breathe. Activate it on the out breath. Lovely. And then let's take the weight over to one leg. And again, how far you go with this is up to you. So get this leg activated. It's both kind of gripping the floor, sinking into the floor. You've got that C shape, especially on the out breath as you start to lift up the knee. And you can hold the knee or you can just have the foot slightly off. If your balance isn't fantastic and you're worried about falling, then have the foot right here, because you can always put it straight down. Good, and then just feel that core activate. And the longer you're up here for, the more you have to work all the interconnected muscles between the feet and the core. So feel that work going on. And of course, there's lots of things you can do to make it a little bit harder. Taking the leg out to the side. Straightening the leg and not giving it any support is probably the hardest of all. So you can really feel those muscles having to work there. Just see wherever you're at with it. This is another hard one, the dancer pose, because obviously you're in an S shape. So to work that core a little bit harder. And then as your leg gets fatigued, of course, bring the foot down and just rest it a moment. We can feel not just the leg maybe, but perhaps the core as well, especially one side, a little bit warmer. Let's go up to the other side. So again, activate. Feel that slight push through the leg, that lift as if you're lifting up something off the ground, breathing out. Making sure now, because you're using your out breath to activate, that doesn't mean you should forget to breathe in. So keep breathing in and out. Just be more aware of it on the out breath. And again, you can do your little dances and see how it is, how it feels. Really getting that real exercising feeling, like we're strengthening the core. Ooh. So when we've done that, we might want to do a little bit of tiptoes and heels just to relax a little bit. It can be quite hard work for the legs. They feel like they've had a good workout there. Well done. Lovely. So a couple of tiptoes and heels just to get them to relax. And then let's bring the legs out a little bit wider. We're going to turn the feet out. And what this does is it helps us to get into this Tai Chi position where we can tuck that tail in quite easily and feel that core nicely activated. We bring the arms out in front of us, it helps this upper part of the core to also activate. So we've got the hands out in front. And how far down will depend on your hip flexibility, so don't overdo it. But just feel that as you go down, you're trying not to let go of the core. You can hold it and then push through the feet, activate the core, especially if you do the out breath to help you. So we're breathing in, we're going down, keeping that tail tucked in. And then as you breathe out, you're pushing through the feet, out breath, helping you activate the core. Let's do 3 of those, it's the last one. Lovely. Good, we can bring the feet in. Lovely. So hopefully we've nicely activated the core muscles there, and now every breath you take for the rest of your life, there'll be that out breath. That's the idea. But I wanted to explore this week as well a little bit more and how having an activated core really helps the back of the body stretch out more. It helps the hamstrings, it helps the lower back, and this tension here in the back of the pelvis particularly to release. So let's bend the knees slightly. And when we bend the knees, as we just discovered in that squat, it allows us to have that slight C shape here. Now I'm exaggerating it so that you can see, but you're not doing it, you're feeling it. So you're still as upright as you're comfortable being, but you can just feel that whole area nicely activated. Then we can lift the arms up. Let's bring the hands together. So we're going to start off doing the seated chair pose. So it's like just like the squat, you don't go down very far, you just bend the knees and you tuck that tail in and you feel the whole of the front of the body nicely engaged. And then from there, we're going to fold forward, keeping that engagement. You can release the hands and into a forward fold. Try to keep that engagement, breathing out so it helps. I'm just noticing then what a much better forward bend we can come into straight away. And then we can think of the core as the holding point from which the rest of the spine can release. So again, you can activate your legs a little bit, but do remember to relax. Remember, we are both activating and relaxing. There's an undercurrent of release going on. Out breath, letting go. From that holding point in the core. And then when you uncurl, push through the feet, activate your core so that you can uncurl with control. So it feels as if you can really control the spine, not only smoothly uncurling. And that means then the head can come up last. You can take a nice breath in. Lovely. So we're going to do that again, but first we'll do a couple of other things. So just to stretch out, let's interlace the fingers. Those knees are not bent as such, but they're not locked either. So we've still got that core, which is now anchoring us down. So we can feel that the legs are sinking into the floor with the core, and the rest of the body is reaching. Breathing in, create space in the waist. And then we're going to go to one side. So we're going to stretch out one side at a time. Again, feeling that sinking feeling in the pelvis. The core anchoring us down as we stretch one side. And of course, you know your body best, how long you want to be there. So swap sides when you feel ready. And then two together. Feeling again that core activated, you can release the hands, and again we're going to come forwards. Keeping that core nicely engaged as you breathe out, especially. And once again, hanging down. And letting any tension just trickle away from that core down the spine to the neck, and so the head can hang. And here we can do a little bit of neck work. So we're going to bring our fingers just behind the ear here to hold the head. We're not pulling, we're just holding, and the weight of our arms is going to create a little stretch in the neck. As you breathe out and that core engages, it really does feel like the head is a cannonball on a string, dangling. And you can rock the head, circle the head, as you know, all of these moves to help that neck to release. Circle in a square is also possible. Letting that out breath support. So if your legs start to feel a bit weak, engage the core more. And then, of course, you know your body best. So when you feel like you really can't do it anymore, you're going to uncurl with the help of that core. And coming up to standing and taking a nice breath in. Well done. So if you survived all of that, that's a good sign. It means your core really has got stronger, because those poses are hard to hold for long periods of time without the core there to help you. So well done. It's really good. So we've got one more, and then we're going to come down onto the floor. And then when we're doing downward dog, we're going to do a little bit more of that core work. But I thought it'd be nice to do a twist first. So let's do little tiptoes and heels. Again, just get back into our feet. We're going to breathe in. The core's going down. You're holding We're breathing in, reaching up. The knees are soft so that you can nicely forward bend with that core still nicely activated. Letting the head drop. And then we can bring one hand to the center of the body, the other hand behind, lengthening the back. So you're sort of half looking up so that you can then turn quite nicely and have a twist here. Now the tendency of a weak core will be to want to release here. So just think about that out breath, pushing through the floor. As you know, if you want to stretch a bit more in the shoulders, you can raise the arm. But just notice how having a nicely engaged core helps you to twist better. It creates an anchor from which the twist can happen. Now you know your body, you know what comes next. So when you want to swap sides, out breath, engage the core. Raising the arm if you wish to. And then before you go into downward dog, just have a moment to just dangle here. Things are a little bit warmer now in the hamstrings and the back, so you might have a little bit more releasing you can do. And then you can reach forwards with the hands and come back with the feet into that downward dog. Now for those of you that struggle to be on your wrists for long, remember to take breaks. And for those of you that struggle to stretch your hamstrings so much, remember to take breaks. So you can just come down into downward dog, because we're going to do a little sequence here. The first one is to bend one knee in towards you and see if you can sort of kiss your knee. You won't be able to, but you're trying. And you can feel that core engage there. Remember, you can always come down onto hands and knees and do this one as well. And then the other side. Out breath, engage the core. And then you can try the next one, which is to lift the leg up high. And again, maintain that core strength. And if you're really wanting to work hard, you can go between the two. So you can bring the knee in. And then stretch the leg up high. And swap sides. Knee in, leg up high. Keep that core nicely engaged. Remember to rest your arms when you need to. And that is just a question of coming down into child pose. And breathing there for a few breaths. Feeling the shoulders relax by bringing the hands to the feet and letting the shoulders become soft. And of course, even child pose is a C-shaped pose, so technically as you breathe out, you will probably find that your core is working away there. So as many breaths as you need. That was quite tough for the arms, so give them as much rest as they need. Lovely. Okay, so here we are on the floor. And about a month ago, when we started this process, we did a little bit of a test. Some of you will remember. So we're going to see how we're progressing. They can either sit with the legs crossed or the legs out in front. Remember, the legs crossed is a little bit easier than the legs out in front. And what we do is we kind of create that C shape in the body. So we kind of leaning over our legs. It's not very good posture, but that's okay. It's just for this exercise. We've got the hands below the knees here. And then we're going to pick up that marble off the ground and lift it all the way to our belly button. At which point, when it reaches the belly button, you push with the hands, and perhaps you can feel the whole area strengthen. Now, for those of you that feel quite strong and your wrists are happy, you can then work at lifting up the bottom. Now, if you've got the hands too far behind, it won't work. You really need to have the hands quite far forward and really be leaning over them. And then you have to engage the core to come up. Now, we might not have got off the floor, but I'm hoping at least that you can now really feel the muscles. If you're feeling the muscles, we're halfway there. Because remember, the first part of this is activation. Making sure that those muscles are actually talking to each other to do the job. Okay, so the next test was this one, the boat. So one leg up, one leg down. And seeing how that feels. Again, engage that core, tuck in, tail, breathe out, pull up that marble. And then we can try with the other leg. So if the core's not very strong, you do one leg at a time. And with lots of practice, you will get stronger. Well, you might find, for those of you that have been here every week for the past 4 weeks, that if you try now, the other leg will actually come up. And of course, you can really feel those core muscles there, working hard. So lots of practice. We've got the core muscles activated, which is great, but now they need to be strengthened. And the only way to strengthen them is to use them. So now when you go for your walks, when you're rambling about, you can have a couple of minutes where you're just quiet, and as you're walking, you're going, am I engaging my core? Or whatever sport you do, if you swim, if you play tennis, just have those couple of minutes like, am I engaging my core as I do this? And hopefully it will start to strengthen. The more you use it, basically, the more it strengthens. It's the lack of use that generally, and for those of us that had children and forgot we had a core, and it might have been a good 30, 40 years ago since, you last used them, it was all about just remembering. Okay, so if it's only just remembering, you can't expect it to be strong already. It's going to take time. Okay, so we've got the legs out in front. And I'm going to do this sitting up quickly just to show you, but I'm hoping that you will do it lying down. So you might remember this one where we cross the ankles really slowly. And then cross them back really slowly. And this is going super speed. Yeah, and then now this one requires quite a bit of core work. Otherwise, it will hurt your back. So if you've ever done that one before and hurt your back, then now you know why. So let's all lie down. This is just a preparation for what we're doing next. Again, as you breathe out, just have that sense of the core engaging. And then when you go to lift that leg up, engage that core. And see, can you move it really slowly? So if the core is weak, it's going to feel like you're going to drop the leg. It's going to feel like you can't control it. And as the core gets stronger, you find that you have more control. And of course, our aim with these is to do them as slowly as possible. One side. And then the other really slowly. We're going to do each side twice. So that was once for me. You might be going a little bit faster, or you might be going a little bit slower. And of course, when you finish, what you will find is when you put that leg down is that, and you relax, it's like, oh, you can really feel those core muscles have worked. And the legs feel heavy and supported by the ground. So now we're just going to try and see if we can maneuver ourselves using our core and our arms to come up to sitting, leaving the legs super relaxed as they are. Feeling that core engagement, hopefully even with your in-breath now, we can feel that engagement, and then we can reach up and do our forward fold. So we're breathing in. The legs are nice and soft and relaxed. We're lifting up through the core as we come forwards. Breathing out, activating the core again. Keeping those legs nice and relaxed, yet still managing to get a nice good stretch through them, still managing to feel that core with every out breath. Again, just enjoying that stretch for as long as your body is happy to. And we're going to come into a little series of twists here so that you can see how effective these twists are when the core is engaged. So we're going to start with bending one foot up. We're going to do an open twist and then a closed twist. So that means the same arm of the leg that's twisted is bent is going to come here, and the other hand is going to go behind. So we're open. Now, even though we're open, we're going to look over the shoulder, and as you breathe in, take a breath in. And as you breathe out, feeling that core engaged, looking over the shoulder. And breathing. And every out breath, feeling that core engagement. Noticing that the twist is originating there and then like a spiral coming up the spine. Head and shoulder moving together. Again, just judging it, you might be really enjoying that, you might be wanting to move on. So it's the other leg coming up, same hand as the bent leg. Open twist, hand behind. Relax your legs. And activate that core as you turn, as you breathe out. Lovely. Oh, so just a little moment with both legs out in front just to rest before we go opposite hand, opposite knee. So we've got the other leg bent. Remember with this one we got various positions for the hands. So You can have the hand on the knee, the elbow on the knee, or the elbow over. And if you can just see about that elbow over, because this is where we're going to really feel the core. Because you will notice that in the way of your twisting will be your belly. If you're anything like me, you can really feel it. So now as you breathe out and you engage that core, suddenly the belly is free to turn. Because as you breathe in, it kind of goes in the way again, so as you breathe out, you turn again. And you can feel that that really makes a great twist with that core engaged. So again, you're choosing your arm position depending on how comfortable it is, but all the time just thinking about pulling in that belly, that core coming in as you twist. And then when you come back to the front, you probably notice that we're really well wrung out in this lower half of the body, and I just want to pay a little bit of attention to that upper half. So one of the disadvantages of core work, and this is often the case with people who do a lot of gymnastics and or aerobics and stuff, and they're constantly being told to do the core, is that you do finish up sort of putting yourself into this C shape and sort of walking around in a C shape all the time. Whereas actually we want to be able to lift and open that breastbone. So I'm going to make sure that this breastbone is nicely opened and ready for, you know, sort of this understanding. So we're going to do the spleen rock. So we've got the right hand just below the rib cage on the left and this hand on the elbow, and we're just going to start to rock here. Because this is a real soother, so we can close our eyes. It's a little moment of mindfulness. So let's just be really aware of where the movement is coming from, the warmth that we're generating there in the breastbone. So any tension that we might have inadvertently put there by doing this core work, starting to just seep away. Getting into that nice rhythm. Letting all thoughts just slip away, and all you can feel is the rhythm and the warmth. And of course, everybody's threshold is different, so listen out for any signs that your body doesn't want to do anymore and pay attention to that. Don't push yourself through, it's not worth it, you don't need to. And we're just going to allow that to come to a gentle stillness when you feel ready. We're nearly at the 2-minute mark. Letting the arms drop by your sides, nice and long. There's orangutan arms there, taking a nice breath, feeling that warmth in the chest. So you can feel that that breastbone is nicely open, and this is where we're going to try and differentiate it from the core work. So the breastbone feels warm and open, and then as you breathe out, you can feel that separate pulling in of the core, lifting up maybe from the floor, the marble. And just taking those 2 or 3 breaths just to be really aware of that. Great. Okay, so this is a little test for this. Now you don't have to be up on your knees if you don't want to. You can do this in a chair. You can also have a blanket ready here so that your kneecaps are not actually on the floor, they're sort of dangling. So this is where we're going to look at stretching this breastbone here whilst keeping this area activated, because if you don't keep this area activated as you lean back, you feel like you're going to fall. So take your choice. You can again be sitting on a chair, having the hands behind you. That's okay. You can have the hands on your back. And hopefully found a way to make those knees nice and comfortable. So before we start doing any movement, we're going to think about that activation. Now we're going to be in an S shape, so it's going to be a bit harder to do. So you're going to push those hips forward, looking up and back into that breastbone. And trying to keep that activation in the core. See how many breaths you can last. And then, of course, we're going to come forward and straight into our child pose. So that's the nice easy version. And then we're going to perhaps try a little bit harder version, this time with one arm on the back and one arm up in the sky. We don't have that support so much. But the arm is going to support us by trying to lift that breastbone. So we're looking up and back, that hip goes forward, the core engages, you breathe in, and reach with the arm. You might not be able to stay there for more than one breath, and that's okay, because remember you've got to do the other side. So really good stretch, and then child pose again to counter pose. So that might have been where you reached your level of comfort, especially with your back, but if those of you that want to do a little bit more, there is always a bit more. We can tuck the toes under this time. And instead of having one hand on the back for support, we're going to have one arm up in the air. We're still engaging that core, but we're reaching for that heel. And really feeling that core engage. And of course, again, you've got both sides. And see how you are. See how your back is, and then resting in your child pose again. So I'm hoping with these, whatever level that you're doing them at, that you are feeling this core engagement and that separation as the breastbone starts to stretch, so that we're not bringing that breastbone into our core activation, because it is a separate thing. So if you're not sure, you might want to try one more time with something that you're comfortable with. If you want to work even harder, as you know, the next stage in this pose, this camel pose, is to have both hands on the heels. So tuck those toes under so the heels are nearer. Yeah, you can have the hands on the back to support you as you get into position. Feel that tightening here, that breastbone stretching. And then one hand and the other. You might need to lean back, but then push forward. Nice stretch. You need your core to come out of that for sure. And then into your forward fold. This is the final time, so let's stay a little bit here for a little bit longer. Letting the shoulders and the arms relax. Letting the back stretch out. If your back feels particularly compressed after that, use your hands. So remember, you can have that little push through the hands to open out that lower back. And if that's not enough, you can do the same thing in downward dog. Is a really good way of opening that back out. So there's lots of options depending on how your wrists, shoulders and arms and your back and your legs and your whole body by now is starting to feel a little bit tired. It is time next to lie down. So if you're waiting for that, which I'm sure you all are, do find yourself in a nice comfortable position lying down. So my camera's gone. Great. Okay, so when we come onto the floor, and make sure you've got your blanket handy. And before we go anywhere, we're just going to give a little bit of relaxation input into the body because it has worked really hard today. So just a little bit of rocking. It doesn't have to be the full 2 minutes. And of course, if the floor rocking isn't your favorite, you can try with the knee. Into a nice steady pace, whichever way you like to do it, just for a minute, so that when you're reminding that body that despite the fact that these muscles activate and work, there is an undercurrent of release as well. So when you come to stillness, the body is relaxed even if the core is working. Every out breath. Remember, it might feel like really hard work. It might feel like a new novelty, but actually this is how the body should be functioning. And then we're going to give a little push with the feet and feel that tail roll in so that that core is again activated. And then when we come to lift up into our bridge, it's just like being in the camel. We have got that core still working, even as the back bends in different shape. And the chin rolls in. And of course here, we talked a little bit last week about how when the core's engaged, it feels like you've got a rope tied into your belly button and that rope is pulling you up. So you're being pulled up basically by your core. And relax. When you're ready, you can just roll down the spine, and the more you engage your core, the more control you have, so you can bring it down nice and slowly, one vertebra at a time. And release the legs, let them relax for a moment. So next time we work this, again, we're going to tuck the tail in, push through the feet, feel that core engage. And lifting up with the arms. So this is a bit like we were doing the squats earlier. Just feeling the whole of this part here, the core, the upper abs begin to engage. Bringing the arms then over that we can stretch. It feels like somebody's grabbed hold of your wrists and is pulling your arms as the core stretches. As you breathe in, feel that breastbone be free. As you breathe out, feel that core engage. Keep the arms there as you roll down, still being pulled. You feel this lovely stretch in the back of the body. Again, you can control it as best you can with that core, which is starting to feel tight, which is fair enough. And when the pelvis reaches the floor, you can rest your back, then let the arms go. You can bend the elbows, have a little moment to feel that release into the floor. You can bring the arms then into that T shape. So we've done a lot of work for the core, so we're just going to relax now. Let's just bring the foot to the knee and push that leg over, so it's a nice easy twist. Again, the core will engage without too much input from you, hopefully by now. We'll see. And I'm going to turn the head the opposite way. Just let those shoulders relax, the back of the body lengthening. If you breathe out, you might find that the core is naturally engaging. Remember, you can bring the hand to the knee and give yourself an extra bit of a stretch. Relax that shoulder down. And again, just working your way to the other side when you feel ready to. Different for everyone, so don't wait to be told, just listen to your body when it wants to do the other side, just switch the side. Just remember to bring the foot onto the knee. And our breath still having that lovely bit of core engagement on its own, naturally, hopefully now. Letting those shoulders drop down into the ground as you come up to the middle. You just have a little opportunity here to rest. Feeling how the body is really starting to become heavy. We've got one more pose to do, so we're going to tuck our hands underneath. Lengthen out the legs. Now there's quite a bit of core work in this fish pose. You might feel it now. Elbows draw in, and as you look up and back, if you want to arch your back, if you engage your core, it will help you to arch a bit more. And as many breaths as you feel able to before you come down to your final rest. And as you come down from the fish, there's always that lovely feeling of being held by the floor as finally we get to this point we've been wanting to from the beginning. If you're still feeling a little bit held in any way or tense, remember you can start the relaxation always with a little bit of a knee bend rock, just to remind the body, those of us that need it, don't forget that that is always available to you. You don't have to start the same place as everyone else. And even in your most relaxed moments, as you breathe out, that core starting to naturally engage. And then when you have decided Breathe it to stop rocking. Don't forget to get warm. So just starting to let any tension that you're still holding, just identifying anywhere in the body that feels tight. And bringing your awareness to it for a moment as you breathe. And you can feel the breath like a warm autumnal breeze, really rich with the colours of autumn, leaves blowing, and those clear, bright blue skies that we get in autumn. And let this wind, as you breathe in, blow across your toes and your feet, waking them up and relaxing them at the same time. Brisk, awake feeling we get when we walk through the woods on an autumn's day. And then as you breathe out, any tension, any tightness, just moving away with the wind, being blown away like the leaves up and up into the sky. Breathing in, feeling that autumnal wind that travels up through the feet, into the calves and shins and knees and thighs, traveling all the way to your hips. Bright and brisk breeze. And as you breathe out, and it sweeps away any tension. And feeling that breath, like the wind travelling up through the legs, through the feet and legs, all the way up into the abdomen, and the lower back, and the chest, and the upper back, swirling itself into every nook and cranny, to all the organs. A sense of awakeness and brightness, freshness. The autumnal wind, as it breathes out, it takes away like the dead leaves of the tree, just flying away, taking any negativity, any tension away with it. And as you breathe in, feeling the breath, as it travels through the feet and legs and through the torso, begin to flow down through the arms, through the shoulders and arms and into the hands. It's life, it's freshness, sense of awakeness, a bright autumnal day as the wind flows through us. And as you breathe out again, any leaves that dropping off, taking away any negativity, any tightness, any pain. And as you breathe in, letting that breath travel through the whole body from the tips of the toes all the way up to the tips of the fingers and into the throat and across the face and head. Energizing the brain, energizing the face, the eyes, muscles around the eyes, the temples, the jaw joint, the tongue and the teeth, the life force energy that is the breath, the autumnal breeze, the brightness, sense of fresh and aliveness as it travels through the face and the head and the whole body as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, just allowing it to gently take away any of the tension in the forehead, and the temples, and the jaw joint, and the joint where the head and the neck meet. And down through the shoulders and arms, and down through the spine, and the lower back, and the hips and the legs, and out through the feet. As you breathe in, you're filled with this beautiful bright wind. And those beautiful clear blue autumnal days, brisk, full of life, flowing through the whole body. And as you breathe out and allow this tension to seep away, also feeling a little bit as if you were sinking into that beautiful brown, warm earth, held by that earth, like in your mother's arms, supported. There's nothing you have to do or think about. You can just be held, be embraced. Breathing in, just feeling this breath, this breeze travel throughout the whole body. And as you breathe out, just feeling any tension swept away, and the body sinking into the earth, supported by the ground, surrendering. In breath, with that sense of bright awareness in the whole body. Out breath, letting go into the ground, surrendering into the earth. And perhaps from time to time you can feel both of these sensations simultaneously. Feeling both this sense of brightness and aliveness in the body through the breath, and this sense of rest, support and release as you sink into the ground. So just allowing your breathing now to become a little bit deeper. Let the breath be the first thing that you move. When you feel ready to move a little bit more, it's just the fingertips and toes. Rolling onto your side when you feel ready to move at all, and obviously you're at home, so you could just stay there if that's what it feels the right thing to do. Just allowing your attention to remind yourself of this nice feeling so that you can bring it back later in the week when you need it. And I'm just going to go and unmute you all. I think you can also unmute yourselves. So it's some of you have got different settings, so it asks you to unmute rather than me being able to do it.
Unmute.
Lovely.
Go.
Is everybody okay?
Yes. Yeah. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Veronica.
Thank you, Veronica.
You're welcome.
Really good.
Thank you.
So we'll be moving on to a different theme next week. It's birthday month for me. A little bit stressful. The way we were doing the song in the background earlier, like when I was saying to you, hear this, all I could hear was "Happy Birthday" to you. I was just like, no. So yeah, so we'll be jumping on to a different theme. So if anybody's got any ideas, wants to do anything specific, just let me know. Email me.
Okay.
If you want to work on something.
Yes, cause though.
The core's been good, hasn't it?
Has forget it.
Yeah, very good.
So we won't forget it. We'll try and keep some focus on it. But it would be nice to have a look at other things maybe as well. So just let me know. If not, we'll carry on with the core. If everybody's in agreement, I'm happy to do that as well. Okay. Great.
Excellent.
I'll see you next week. Oh, before you go, I've just had a little something I've just remembered. Hang on a second. So I'm doing a school fundraiser, but I have made about 9 kilos of membrillo, which is quince cheese.
Yeah, quince paste.
Yeah. And it's quite expensive, quince cheese, when you try and buy it in the shops. And I'm going to sell it for about the price of jam.
Yeah. My husband.
So if anybody wants any, let me know, and I will organise some way of getting. So I think it's going to be about £4 for 250. No, for 450 grams.
Oh, that's very good.
It's the size of a jam jar.
I made damson cheese once when I had a damsons. Yeah, it was really nice.
It's a fundraiser that I do every year for school. And normally we sell it at the Advent Fair in Hereford, but obviously this year there isn't going to be an Advent Fair in Hereford, so I've got to find other ways.
So what are you raising funds for?
Schools.
The school.
Fine.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So our school has, we have a target of about £35,000 a year that we need to fundraise.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's quite big, and obviously the Advent Fair brings in about 10,000.
Oh.
So not being able to do it is going to be a real blow.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what we're going to do. So we're trying different things, and this is one of them. So
well done.
yeah, just email me if you're interested. We don't need to talk about it now, and we can arrange to meet in Monmouth or something. It'll be easy. All right, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Veronica.
You're welcome. Thanks, Jen. See you soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Hi, Laurie.
Enjoy the rain when it gets to you.
Thank you. I think the garden will, not me. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.